Let's talk about Sam Darnold because quarterback Sam Darnold just signed a 3-year, $100 million contract with Seattle. He's coming off his best year in the NFL. Last year, he had 35 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions and led the Vikings to a playoff game. I think Seahawks fans should be somewhat happy. Sam Darnold turns 28 this summer. Their former quarterback, Geno Smith, is going to turn 35 later in the year in October. And so Seattle got a little bit younger at quarterback, and they spent a little less money than Geno would have cost him. I think all in all, I go, hey, younger, cheaper. I don't know if better. We can have that conversation about Sam Darnold. I have reservations about Sam Darnold because last year he played on a loaded team, a really, really good Minnesota Vikings team. He had great coaching. He had the best wide receiver in football, Justin Jefferson. You can argue Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I think JJ. But look, if you want to argue Jamar Chase, I won't fault you. But they're certainly the number one and number two guys in football. I don't know about you. As a quarterback, when you got a great receiver like that, your life is significantly easier. They had a stable running game last year. Outside of Justin Jefferson, they also had Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson as receiving weapons. The final two games of the year, though, are a problem. When you reflect back on the Viking season, they went into the final game of the year, week 18, road game at Detroit. They win that game. They're the number one seed in the NFC. And what happened? They lost. They lost the division. They lost the number one seed. And Sam Darnold in that game, big moment at Detroit, must-win moment, was a big nothing burger. He totally wilted and did not show up in the biggest moment of the year. Couldn't handle the pressure, I guess literally and figuratively. Like he was under pressure all game long. They're hitting him. There's bodies. He's getting blitzed. Didn't handle that situation very, very well. The following week in the playoff game, same thing happens. The Rams come with a very similar game plan to what Detroit had shown the week before. A lot of pressure, a lot of blitzing. Sam is uncomfortable in the pocket. He never could get in rhythm. I don't think he handled the pressure of the moment very well. Both A, the big stage, and B, the literal pressure coming at him in the pocket. I don't think he handled the pressure beating the blitz very well. So I think leaving Minnesota is bad for Sam Darnold. You're going from a great team to a downgraded team. Just a massive downgrade to the help around you is difficult to overcome. It's hard to lose the help you had from the year before and get better. That doesn't happen very often. I think Josh Allen is an outlier last year with the Bills. The team was a little worse around him. He got better and elevated them. But I'm sorry, Sam Darnold is not Josh Allen. You can't compare those two. And so from a Sam Darnold perspective, I think on the football field itself, this is a tough sell. I think look, man, I think you're going to have a worse year, less help around you. From a Seattle perspective, it's a solid move. I mean, they got a younger quarterback at a lower price. That's very straightforward and great. Kind of a lateral move from a talent standpoint. I think Geno Smith is marginally better than Sam Darnold. I do think there's a slight gap there where, Geno is, I guess, more experienced. I've seen him play at a high level for longer than Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's a one-year wonder. We'll see what happens there. But I think they're really similar on the field from a talent and ability perspective. Again, Geno Smith has just done it at a higher level for longer. Now, I know I talked about Sam leaving Minnesota. That's an interesting situation. If I were Sam Darnold, I would have been almost begging Minnesota, how can I stay here, right? But that's not good for business. That's not good for your career. That's not good for your life. You cannot blame Sam Darnold for taking big money. $100 million is like a game changer. And we're not talking about Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. Those are all quarterbacks who've been paid a ton of money before. Sam Darnold had a rookie contract with the Jets and then backup quarterback money with the 49ers and Vikings. He's never really had a big payday like this. This is the first major big money contract for Sam Darnold. It's life-changing money. It's going to change the forever future trajectory of his life. If he's smart with his money, he's already a millionaire. I mean, he's made somewhere in the ballpark of $50 million probably, but taxes and all kinds of other things. The amount of money he's made so far to the $100 million he's making with Seattle is totally a game changer. Plus, by the way, no state income tax in Seattle. Gotta love that. So for Sam Darnold, he just won big time. Got a ton of money, and that makes me think of my sponsor today, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get real money action on sports in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. On Prize Picks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports, combine your favorite players with players from baseball, hockey, esports, and much more. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks because Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, and MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. So again, can't blame Sam Darnold. Huge payday. Love that. Happy for him. Now, another move Seattle made was trading away their top receiver, DK Metcalf. And when Sam Darnold signs the contract in Seattle, my first thought was, great. Okay. You're going from a team with loaded talent and the best receiver in football, arguably, to a team that now has no receivers in Seattle. You're like, well, okay, good luck, Sam. So number one, let's talk about the trade. DK Metcalf got traded from Seattle to Pittsburgh, actually. Seattle got a 2025 second round pick and a 2025 seventh round pick. Pittsburgh got DK Metcalf and a 6th round pick in this year's draft. It's kind of odd, honestly, from a Pittsburgh perspective, because, the Steelers are doubling down on emotional receivers. You've now got George Pickens and DK Metcalf on the same team. I don't know. That's a decision. That's a choice right there. And Pittsburgh, they do have a lot of deep threats, like vertical guys who can win downfield. DK Metcalf and George Pickens. If I'm a quarterback, I want to play there. I really, I would, if I'm an NFL quarterback who's made a lot of money, thinking Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. I don't know that they're interested in Russell Wilson coming back, but you get my point. A veteran quarterback who's got some ability left, I'd want to play in Pittsburgh because, man, DK Metcalf and George Pickens, I'll take less money to play with them. That sounds fun and exciting to me. Now, Pittsburgh doesn't want to pay a new quarterback. They did pay DK Metcalf, though. They gave him a massive new contract, reportedly a 5-year, $150 million deal. Again, still no quarterback in Pittsburgh, though. So we're waiting. They built a team around the quarterback. They got a good defense. They got an okay offensive line. They got 2 running backs, Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. They've got DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth. There's a lot of weapons in Pittsburgh. No quarterback. And I guess they signed Mason Rudolph. Great. If that's the week 1 starting quarterback in Pittsburgh next year, there's a problem. That cannot happen. You got to go get a quarterback. And we'll see what happens in Pittsburgh there. Either way, though, the result is Seattle got rid of DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf no longer a Seahawk. I think there's a couple of reasons why Seattle got rid of DK Metcalf. A, they didn't want to pay him. And B, and maybe it's both actually, they didn't want to deal with him. Now, Seattle did replace DK Metcalf to some degree. It's not a direct replacement. It's not the same. DK Metcalf, say what you want, his ability to stretch the field and get vertical is almost unparalleled in the NFL. I mean, him, AJ Brown, there's a couple guys in the NFL that just make it really difficult on defenses. DK Metcalf is one of them. What Seattle did to replace DK Metcalf, replace is maybe the wrong word there. They got free agent wide receiver Cooper Kupp from the Rams. They gave him a 3-year, $45 million contract. Now, that's a lot cheaper than DK Metcalf's contract. That's less than a third of the money DK is getting paid, but they are not the same player. And I think washed up is the wrong word to describe Cooper Kupp. I think that's unfair. He had a great couple years in the Rams in 2021, had like 1,900 yards, 145 catches, dominated. And then ever since then, he's been injured and looked old. Cooper Kupp will be 32 years old this summer. He has not played a full season since that 2021 season. And I'm not really sure what he brings to Seattle. I know he's got a great feel for spacing and finding windows. He's not quite the same athlete he was. He's certainly not going to stretch the field the way DK Metcalf does. He's older. He's not as fast. I don't know. I'm hopeful. I would call myself cautiously optimistic. I'd like to see Cooper Kupp do really well in Seattle. I loved him with the Rams. That's an end of an era there. But he showed his age. There's a reason why the Rams did not want to bring him back. And I remember a time where a lot of people don't even know this happened. Jerry Rice once played for the Seattle Seahawks. A great receiver came from another team and played for the Seattle Seahawks. And most people don't even remember Jerry Rice's Seattle years. I do, but man, I worry that we're going to have a similar thing with Cooper Kupp. Not the same receiver. Jerry Rice, legendary. Cooper Kupp, really good. But could this be a forgettable final couple years for Cooper Kupp? We will find out. It is cool from one perspective, though. Cooper Kupp grew up in Yakima, Washington. He went to Eastern Washington University. That's the red field in Cheney, Washington. Cheney, however you want to say it. It's outside of Spokane. I watched him play live a lot of times. I think it's really cool that he's kind of coming back to his home state. I'm from Washington, too. And there's kind of a coming home moment for Cooper Kupp playing for the team that he was most likely a fan of growing up. So the Seahawks offense is now Sam Darnold at quarterback, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet at running back, and at receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Cooper Kupp, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And then a really suspect offensive line. We'll see how it goes. I'm not sure. I'm hopeful. I think it's, of all the ways, the permutations and ways you could have built this football team, this is definitely one of the better ones. I'm okay with this. Cooper Kupp, he's a receiver. He's cheaper. You get Sam Darnold, again, you found a marginally cheaper, younger option at quarterback compared to Geno Smith. That's a solid move. It kind of gives them some options, and we'll see. I'm really hopeful. I like Sam Darnold. He's only really had one good year in his career, but I am rooting for him to have a good rest of his career, and I'd like to see him do well in Seattle. Now, the Raiders kind of matter in this conversation, in my opinion, because they got Seattle's old quarterback, Geno Smith. I think Seattle did the right thing getting rid of Geno. He's going to be 35 this year. He wanted more money than they were willing to pay him, so they downgraded with a younger, cheaper quarterback. But I think the Raiders made a good move. Just because Seattle didn't want Geno Smith doesn't make the Raiders dumb for bringing him in. What Geno Smith does for the Raiders is stabilize them immediately. He can play. I really like Geno more than other people do. He has his days where he's making incredible throws into really tight windows, and you're like, yo, this dude's got something really special. He doesn't do it every game. He's not as consistent as I would like, but the Raiders got better by adding Geno Smith. He helps them win right now. They're going to pay him. He's going to help them win. It's a win-win for everybody. And then finally, we got to talk about Minnesota, though, because Minnesota, whether they lost Sam Darnold or got rid of Sam Darnold or let him walk away without a fight, whatever you want to call it, Minnesota does not have Sam Darnold as their quarterback anymore. And the only quarterback on the roster in Minnesota is now J.J. McCarthy, a guy who was a rookie last year. In fact, he was a number 10 overall pick. And then J.J. missed all of last year with a knee injury. So he's a big unknown in Minnesota. We just don't know how he's going to perform and handle the moment. He's on a cheap rookie contract, which gave Minnesota a lot of flexibility and freedom to pay basically everyone else on the team. Here are some of the guys they brought in from other teams in free agency so far. They brought in center Ryan Kelly. They brought in defensive tackle Javon Hargrave, offensive tackle Justin Schooley, guard Will Fries. Schooley could be School. It is. They got a tackle and a guard. Will Fries from Indianapolis, Justin Schooley from Tampa. He's kind of a swing guard, kind of their swing tackle, their backup in Tampa who played both sides, right and left tackle. They got a corner, Isaiah Rodgers, a corner, Byron Murphy, defensive back, Tavier Thomas, and defensive lineman, Jonathan Allen. If I butchered any names, sorry, I don't. It is what it is. Either way, you have to acknowledge they just brought in a lot of talent. And that is the benefit of letting Sam Darnold leave. By letting him walk away, it gave them a lot of money to spend improving their team. Specifically, the offensive line, the defensive line, their defense in general really needed help. And the big question in Minnesota now, I think the team is good. Coaching staff, awesome. Brian Flores, defensive coordinator, Kevin O'Connell on the offensive side of the football. Receiving weapons, they're helping the offensive line. 3 offensive linemen as I spill my water everywhere. That's hilarious, and we'll deal with that later. The question, though, is J.J. McCarthy. The team is good. I feel good about the team. And I love J.J. McCarthy as a person. I actually have some contacts and friends who coached him in high school. They were around him in college. I won't divulge who, but man, like I've known people who've known J.J. McCarthy from high school to college to now, and they love him. They speak really highly of him. He's a one-of-a-kind, unique, special person that is, they say, uniquely suited to handle the responsibility of being an NFL quarterback and being the face of a franchise, which is cool. I really like that. And so I'm rooting for J.J. McCarthy. I think he approaches the game with an intellectual, curiosity that's really cool. He's like a sponge. He loves to learn. He loves to improve. He wants to get better. I think he's the kind of guy who actually, like years from now, when his rookie contract is over and Minnesota's been winning and they're really good, he's the kind of kid who would take, I think, a pay cut to stay in Minnesota and keep winning and having good talent around him. He's got vision for what the future looks like. And I think you give a guy like that enough money to live, he's happy. He wants to win. He cares about football. And so I find J.J. McCarthy really compelling. I'm really rooting for him. I don't know if he can play. I think so, but he's never really played in a situation like he's going to have to play it in Minnesota. And so I don't know what to make of it. I'm rooting for him. I'm hopeful. I want to see it go really well. It's just a big, massive unknown right now in Minnesota. That unknown is J.J. McCarthy, the young sophomore quarterback.